Shooting outdoors does come with its own challenges. For the longest time, I thought my videos didn't look good because of my camera. Turns out it was simply my lighting. I needed to do something about it. Once I understood a few simple things about lighting, my lighting started to look up. Everything started to look good in my video. And that actually encouraged me to actually learn more about lighting. I am not a lighting expert, but I have tested different types of lighting setups to know what makes a difference. And that's what I want to share with you today. Let's go. Why settings feel overwhelming? In my opinion, and having done this for close to about 10 years now, I believe that lighting and camera settings go hand in hand like two inseparable partners. And for many, it can feel scary, especially for beginners. And that's because it's mostly explained in a very technical way. Too much jargon, too many settings at the same time, and too many opinions online. All of that comes together to frustrate someone who is just starting to learn how to do this thing. What helped me was realizing I really didn't need to understand everything.
Turn one light into two with just one step. All you need is a key light at your subject and a bounce. If the shadow side of your subject's face is a little too dark, especially for corporate work, and you only have one light, just add that bounce on the other side of your subject opposite that key light.
Now let's practice. I just needed a small group of settings that I could repeat over and over again every time I shoot. Which brings me to say that you don't need to master lighting. You just need a few good habits. Before we talk about light placement, let me quickly share with you a few settings that I personally stick to. I shoot 24 or 30 frames per second depending on the situation. I keep the shutter simply double the frame rate because that's simply the rule. The first thing I do is I switch my camera from auto to manual. You want to do the same thing if you're using a mirrorless camera. I move all the way to the fourth page, which is also a red page. I'm going to be using manual setting, then I will scroll down. This is where all the frame rates are. I either use 30 frames per second or I use 24 frames per second. I use 24 frames per second the most. When I come to the front here, if you look at the bottom of the camera right there, I have it set to 50. If I was to do 30 frames per second, I would have to do 60, which is times 2 of 30, right? So basically, that's what I do when it comes to frame rate. I try to keep my ISO as low as possible because the lower I can keep that number, the cleaner my clips get. And I manually set my white balance as often as I should because it helps me keep my white balance accurate. Overhead lights off, gray card. The gray card is what I use for my white balance. Now, white balance is simply calibrating your camera to see white as white. Of course, if the camera sees white as white, it will accurately capture every other color that it sees. Gray card, I will link it up in the description beneath the video. You either use a gray card like this or you use any white surface, you are fine. So basically how I do it is I place it in front of the camera and take a photo of it. It is very important that the card is facing the light source. If not, you still will not get accurate white balance. So I focus on the gray card. I make sure it's centered right there, and then I take a photo. Now the photo has been taken. I will just simply go to my menu. If you're using a Canon camera, you'll go to page 2. It's a red page, and then you scroll down to custom white balance, custom WB. This same rule will apply for other cameras as well. Whether it's Sony or Nikon you're using, it will pretty much be the same. All right, so I click on custom white balance. I'll click OK to set the white balance, and then I'll scroll to OK and then click OK. It's not done yet. I'll go to white balance. All over here are other presets of white balance. There is a auto white balance, there's daylight, and so on and so forth. This is the icon for custom white balance, and that's the one I want. And that's the one you probably should go for too. So I'll click on it. Once I click on it, done, my white balance is set. That's how I set my white balance. And I'm sure you want to do that too, so that at every given point in time, you will nail your white balance and your skin tone will come out really looking good. Here's what changed. My light placement. The camera is placed right in front of me and the light at a 45 degrees angle so that you get adequate light on your face. The biggest shift for me was understanding one simple thing. The camera can only record the light that you give it, which is if the light is above you, you get eye shadows. And if the light is behind you, you'll be too dark. If the light is too harsh, everything looks too sharp and unflattering. What worked and still working? Facing a window, turning off overhead lamps. Overhead lights off. And placing my softbox light at a 45-degree angle. And the light at a 45 degrees angle. Like I have it right now. I didn't buy expensive lights. I just simply moved things around until my face looked brighter and balanced. Another thing I do with my lighting is I realize that if I keep it close to me, I am able to reduce the intensity to maybe about 10 or 15. What that allows me to achieve is more softness, and then my face is somewhat brighter. So there's something called roll-off between the lighter side of my face and the darker side of my face. The roll-off is smoother and softer. If I come to the light here, maybe 14, 15, thereabout. So the closer it is to me, the less I have for luminance. And then if I keep it further away from me, I increase the intensity to about 50, depending on the situation. This is not a hard or fast rule, but sometimes you just might want to try different things and see what works best for you, depending on your space. I am dealing with my space, and you're going to be dealing with whatever space you're going to be using for your recording. It just depends. Matching light to your environment. Every room behaves differently. I learned this by shooting in different spaces. Whenever I shoot in this particular space, because of the white walls, it gives me softer light. Sometimes when I have a lot of sun shining in this space, because of the red floor, there's always like a red cast on my face, which affects my skin tone. Versus when I am shooting in the basement has yellow wall. And that whole situation and environment affects your lighting. So you have to be able to control your lighting at some point whenever you shoot. If there's a window, I use it. Window lights are usually very soft. Turns out that it's not soft. Sometimes I place a screen over it. Some other times I use a white curtain to reduce the harshness of the light that comes through the window. Because the softer your light, the better it will be for the look and feel of your video eventually. Overhead light. Overhead light alone never looked good for me. And most people also would say that it doesn't look good for them, and it just doesn't make good videos most time. At night, I stopped trying to make the whole room bright, and I focused on lighting myself properly first before anything else. And then I also made sure that my background is not brighter than me, the subject. As always, here are some practical challenges to help you practice. Challenge 1, window experiment. Try this before your next video. 1, sit facing the window. 2, turn off every other light. 3, record for 30 seconds. 4, turn around and have the window be behind you. When I first did this, I immediately saw the difference because the camera wasn't struggling anymore. It was able to capture excellent clips. Out of curiosity, which one looks more natural to you? I'm expecting your responses in the comments. Let's make this whole thing more interactive. Challenge 2, one light intentional placement. Try this at night. 1, use one lamp, place it at an angle slightly to the side, maybe 45 degrees. 3, raise it a bit above eye level. 4, then soften it a little bit. As you practice, you're going to stumble, you're going to not get exactly what you want, but keep repeating the same simple settings until you get used to it. And then you can move on to trying something else. If you're thinking of upgrading your camera right now, I recommend that you try these lighting adjustments first before you make that decision. I now use my very old camera. It's not about the camera. Hey, sometimes I even use my smartphone because of the knowledge I have now in lighting. And so don't be in a hurry to upgrade your camera gear. Make sure you try out these adjustments first. And then after that, you can take a decision from there. Try not to complicate this. Improve your light. Repeat these settings over and over again. Build consistency and momentum. And that is what has been helping me. I'd like to get some feedbacks from you. If this series is helping you in any way, please come back here and just drop me a comment so that I'll be encouraged to keep churning out more of these materials. And over here is the next class.